and welcome back to another challenge video. My name is WWDadman, but you already know that, and I played a Pokemon Scarlet Wonderlocke in preparation for a different challenge video that requires me to have a finished Scarlet save on my main account. That challenge video is coming up too, but let's go over the rules for this lock first. Standard Nuzlocke rules apply to catching Pokemon, but any caught Pokemon will be immediately Wonder Traded away. The Pokemon received from the Wonder Trade will be used in place of the caught Pokemon. The lock starts as soon as we can Wonder Trade, or Surprise Trade in this case. I don't know why they changed the name, but stuck around since frickin' Sword and Shield. So it's technically a surprise lock, not a wonder lock, but same thing. The nickname rule is of course not applicable, as I trade away caught Pokemon, and Pokemon received via trade can very rarely be renamed if they happen to have the same origin of language, and otherwise they cannot be renamed if they are already nicknamed. So yeah, it's not gonna happen. Dupes and Species clause doesn't apply to the actual caught Pokemon, but to the Pokemon I received through Wonder Trade. If the received Pokemon is a dupe, then I can retry by Wonder Trading the received Pokemon away again until I get one I haven't gotten yet. Shiny clause does apply, but I either have to also Wonder Trade them away to get a one I can legally use, or let it sit in the box and never use it if I want to keep it for my shiny collection. Also, since obviously gent in hacked Pokemon are an epidemic in every game that has Wonder or Surprise Trade, I can release any obvious hacks and get to catch another Pokemon to trade away for rerolling the fake. As with previous challenges, this has been streamed live in its entirety on Twitch, and all VODs from that stream are available on my VOD channel, alongside all other VODs from every other stream series I do. Live streams happen every Monday and Wednesday, 8 PM Central European Time, so link to all of that in the description, both the Twitch and the VOD channel, so go check that out after the video. Now, let's get into the game. We name our character Deadman as per usual, and use some random number generation to get our character design. Director Clavel invades our home to get us to school and leaves the starters with us for the way over to our rival's house. After getting to know Nimona, we choose a duck to trade away later and go beat up Nimona on the beach, since she went to the Hop and House School of Rivalry, and choose the starter weak to your type. We also catch the tutorial Lechonk as our first encounter and go through the sequence with Koraidon, catching a Yangoose as the cave encounter before meeting Arven, and having to also beat him up with the team we will trade away later, because we still can't surprise trade at this point. We get tutorialized about the Poke Centers of the region and finally get access to the Poke Portal, which means we can trade for encounters, and the lock finally starts. Quaxley, our starter, gets traded for a level 11 Diglett called Dig. For Lechonk, we get an obvious Hackmon, so we reroll that and get a Blissey at level 75. That thing won't obey me until endgame. Lastly, we get a Scatterbug called Bug for the Yungoos. Then we get our encounter for the area around the first town and trade that for a Galarian Lilligant that is holding a Master Ball. Yeah, that's hacked. We take the Master Ball to catch a replacement and release the hack, and the reroll is a shiny Feebas holding an evil item. Yeah, that's also hacked. One more time. This time we get a Gloom at level 35 with a Flying Terra type. Very nice. We then face Nimona in front of Mesagoza. She leads with Fuecoco, I lead with Dig. Mudslap does good damage and lowers her accuracy while she leers. Another exchange of the same moves and a third and fourth Mudslap kill, while she only lands one tackle for less than half. Next is her Palmies, so I keep my ground type out, obviously. I potion for safety, and she terrestrializes to an electric Terra type. She then proceeds to try and Thundershock Diglett 3 times. Mudslap kills. Up next, we get to bully some bullies, and after finally getting the 3 main story quests unlocked, we can finally get going. On our way to the first gym, we catch a Mareep, which makes Bug evolve, and we trade the Mareep for a Rookie D. The next encounter is a Mankey, which we trade away for another hack, so we reroll for a Chinese Ducklet at level 63. Another one that won't obey for a long time. We also get the encounters on the other side of Mesagoza, where we trade one catch for a Chinese Ditto, and the static Kimighoul on top of a tower for a freshly hatched Impidimp. So that goes on the team for passive leveling. While leveling for the first gym, Bug evolves into a Vivillon, and after putting a gigantic olive into an oversized basket, we fight the gym leader of Cortando, Katie. She leads with Nimble, I lead with Rookidee. I terrestrialize immediately and pack one-shots. Next is Tarantula, pack again one-shots. Last is Teddiursa, who terrestrializes to Bug type and fucking hits 5 fucking times with Fury Swipes, cause this game is stupid and it should feel stupid. Bug is out, and 2 gusts finally take down Teddiursa. Up next, we take on the first Titan, Cloth. Do this. We're standing back there. Well, we're dead. We take it out alongside Arven and get the next encounter, a Tandemouse, that we trade for a level 30 Mabostiff. The next gym requires some flower collecting to get to fight it, but in the end we face Brassius. He leads with Petilil, I lead with Bug. Pounce takes half his life, and he puts me to sleep. I use an Awakening, he Mega Drains, another Pounce after terrestrializing kills. Smoliv is next, and Pounce one-shots. Last is Sudowoodo, terrestrializing to Grass type. Pounce takes half with a crit, and Rock Throw one-shots, even without stab. And on only one type weakness. I love this game. Impidimp is out, and apparently that Sudowoodo is made of Basalt Rock, cause Low Kick, which does more on heavy mons, does shit all in terms of damage. Trailblaze takes us to low, and we bite. With Sudowoodo flinching. We heal up, and he Trailblazes again. I suddenly get outsped for no reason, and can't land another hit with Blight to have a flinch chance. And go to Weed, the Gloom, next, to kill with Acid. Cause for some reason it actually listens to me even with the overleveling. Up next we get the Titan Bombardier done, and go on to the first Team Star base. The boss here is Giacomo, who starts off with a Pawniard. I send up my Mabostiff first, and Trailblaze does a bit, while Furicata does less. But since it's super effective and gets stronger, I go to Dig, and almost get one-shot. Nurse the Blissey is my next choice, and I go back to Dig, and Metal Claw almost one-shots. What the fuck? How does this thing have like a million attack? I potion again, and Metal Claw crit kills. I go to Ditto and transform, we Fury Cutter each other, and he goes down. Then we fight his card. Wicked Torque does good damage, while we have to build up for Fury Cutter actually doing something. But the extra attack boost from the Defiant ability is pretty useful. We get put to sleep, and I potion back to full before using an Awakening to wake up. His Dark type moves do little to nothing, and Aerial Ace finishes the battle. Our next encounter is a Psyduck that we trade for Victor the Spoink, before having to battle Nimona to get to the next gym. She leads with Rockruff, I lead with Mabostiff. Trailblaze one-shots. Palmy is next, and another Trailblaze one-shots again. Crocolore is last, and she terrestrializes. Bite does about half while she yawns. I decide to terrestrialize too, so I get an extra buff on Bite, and so the second Bite kills. Let's go to the gym. After Iona hijacking my stream with her own, we get to fight her. Iona leads with Wattrel, I lead with Mabostiff. I terrestrialize immediately and Bite one-shots. Valley Bolt is next, and Bite does half, a Spark does next to nothing. Another Bite kills. Luxio comes out, and our Guard Dog ability inverses the effect of Intimidate, so Bite one-shots again. And last is Miss Magius, who terrestrializes into Electric, and Bite one-shots it. Done. We catch a Bramblin in the next area, and trade it for a Hatenna with an Ice Terra type. Just level 12 though, so that will need training if we ever use it. The next Team Starbase leader is Mela, who starts with Torkoal, while we have Mabostiff out. Bite does a quarter, and Flame Wheel does slightly less. Another 2 exchanges of that, and a Bite crit kills. Next is her car, so I potion back to full, and she misses Overheat. Another hits for good damage, and Bite does quite little to her. She screeches, and after a few more bites, her attack almost kills. So I heal, and Blazing Torque does over half. So I go to Nurse for some tanking, and to reset the defense stat on Mabostiff. Nurse gets burned, and another heal of Mabostiff later, we go back to keeping on biting. While Blazing Torque does a lot less now. We get burned, so I terrestrialize and go for Snarl to not be affected by the halving of my attack stat from that burn. Another heal later, another 2 bites, put it to super low, but I have to heal one more time before we can finally win. The Titan Earthworm is the next kill, and we catch a fungus next to the starbase and get the Dene in surprise trade for it. We actually put that on the team too. In the desert, we get a Rufflet, which gets us another reroll cause of an obvious Gendin shiny. The reroll results in another hacked shiny, for fuck's sake. Another reroll later, we get a Swablu named Talton. Further encounters get us a Barnsley from France, another obvious hack, with the reroll being a Scatterbug, which is duped, so we retrade that for a Substrika from Japan with a Stellar Terra type. A quick visit to the fish market later, we fight Kofu, the next gym leader. He leads with Veluza, I send out the Dene. Parabolic Charge takes most of his health, while he takes half of ours with Aquakata. Another Parabolic Charge kills and heals us back to green. Walk Trio is next and does a bit of damage before Parabolic Charge takes back the health. Headbutt flinches us once, but another Parabolic Charge later he's down. Crabominable is last, terrestrializes to pure water, and Parabolic Charge does half, healing us back to green again. He one-shots with Crabhammer next, so I send out Weed to finish him off, and Magical Leaf kills. We find a Sunstone and evolve Weed into Blossom, and the next Starbase boss starts off with a Skunk Tank. I lead with Victor, but switch to Talton. We get Sucker Punched, and Moonblast does about the same back. Toxic Poisons, and Sing puts the Skunk Tank to sleep. A full restore takes care of healing, and I spam Moonblast until he faints, while getting Toxic again, healing that with an antidote. Venoshock would have totally killed with the Toxic Poison, but with Talton not obeying and getting poisoned again, I go to Mabostiff and Thunderfang takes care of Skunk Tank. Mach is next, so I go to Victor and Psybeam does little, while Sludge Wave does good damage. I terrestrialize, so I do more damage, but another attack takes us to a sliver. I heal and get to Psybeam again, and again Sludge Wave takes us to 9 HP. We get poisoned, and we get killed by the poison immediately, cause that makes sense. Why the fuck does poison activate the turn it applies anyway? Mabostiff is back, and Crunch kills Muck. A Reverum gets crunched, we heal, and 2 bites with a flinch in between take care of that. Last is the car, and we keep biting while Noxious Torque poisons, so I have to full restore again. Before going back to Crunch for more damage. A bit more healing and a few more crunches and trying to find a way to deal with the poison later, we switch to Nurse for tanking reasons. The Toxic Spikes from the ability of the car Toxic Poison Nurse, and another antidote later we heal up Talton for flying over the spikes. We get fucked over by that thing like crazy, and Talton dies of poison after not feeling like listening. Deserved really. Fry that bird up on a spit roast or something. Ditto is next and can't transform, so we just use it as fodder to get Mabostiff back to health. And 2 crunches take it to a sliver, with Mabostiff almost dying, another heal and another crunch later, we are finally done. That was a stupid fight. Another encounter results in an obvious hacked Mon, so we re-rolled that into a French Mimikyu, and another encounter gets us a Makuhita in the trade. The next static Gimmighoul gives us a Zoroark with a Fire Terra type, and Makuhita evolves into Hariyama pretty quickly. Another encounter gives us a Yungoos in the trade. Up next is Larry's normal gym. After quickly getting the recipe for the special right, Larry leads with Komala, while I send out Zoroark. I Night Slash for half, and he yawns. I U-turn and send out Wheat, he keeps yawning, and I Magical Leaf for the kill. I switch to Zoroark again, and he sends out the Dunsparce. Night Slash does half, and Glare Paras. Hyperdrill gets rid of Illusion, and another Night Slash leaves him on a sliver. A full restore takes us back, but the Hyperdrill takes us back down. U-turn kills, and we go to Nurse for tanking. His Staraptor is last, and terrestrializes. I potion Zoroark and swap in next turn. Facade almost kills, and we heal. Aerial Ace does half, Night Slash does a bit, and Facade kills. I swap in my underleveled Hariyama, and Aerial Ace just kills. Substrika won't obey, and Facade does almost half. I terrestrialize to Stella, and Facade does a bit, while I potion hoping for any obeying. More Facades, more healing, and Substrika just goes to sleep. Eventually Wild Charge actually goes through though, so we one-shot with that. Another Nemona fight is next, and she starts with Lycanroc. Since we can't change our team and we start on a dead Mon, I just stall until something dies so I can start from a Mon that is still alive. Weed is out first, and Magical Leaf almost one-shots, and another finishes Lycanroc. Gumi is next, and I terrestrialize to flying and Moonblast the Gumi off the field, only taking a bit of damage. Pomo is next, and I go to Hatena, almost dying to Spark once before actually dying. Substrike is out and still doesn't obey. However, it is immune to electric attacks, so we can just wait until it does. Eventually, Flame Charge kills. Skeledirge is last, and I go back to Wheat. She Torch Songs, which almost kills, and Sleep Powder misses. We heal up and go to Yellow Health again. Torch Song then kills. Substriker is back out, and Electro Ball does good damage, with Torch Song one-shotting. This leaves only Nurse. Torch Song hardly does damage, but Nurse won't obey, so we go down in health steadily until Disarming Voice finally goes through, but Torch Song still kills. Now, this is one of the matches you don't have to win, so we can go on with stuff from the PC, but our entire team is dead after this. So, with our very bare bones leftover months from the box team, we go get our next encounter and trade the Stunky we caught for an Eevee from Korea at level 1. That definitely won't help right now, so it goes right into the back of the team for leveling. We also evolve it into Jolteon, cause I kinda need an electric type, and we then take out some Chanseys to farm XP. So we don't run on just 2 mons with levels above 60 and a bunch of sub 20 cannon fodder. While doing so, our Ducklet evolves into Swanna, Bonsly into Sudowoodo, and Yungoos into Gumshoes. Next trade token encounter is a Bergamite, which we trade for a French Mankey. Again at level 1. Another static Gimmighoul gives us a Braxcalibur, which is straight up a jackpot in the trade lottery. Pog! At level 75, it is past our current cap, but hell, I sure will use that once we can. In the meantime, we get Mankey to evolve into Primeape and go for the next gym. For the test here, we need to beat some trainers in double battles, but that ends up being fine, so we get to face Rhyme. Also in a double battle, cause having one gym be a double battle is apparently just gonna be a thing now every gen. Weird that only Gen 3 and 8 did that before, honestly. So she leads with Banette and Mimikyu. I send out my Mimikyu and Primeape. My Mimikyu obviously doesn't listen cause it's overleveled, so Primeape gets Shadow Sneak down by 1/3 and Rage Fist almost one-shots in return. Her Mimikyu slashes. By the way, do you see why I usually nickname my mons for these challenges? Kinda bad to commentate a match with 2 of the same mons like this. Since my Mimikyu won't listen anyway, I use its turn to heal Primeape, and after getting Shadow Sneaked and slashed again, Rage Fist takes out Banette. She sends out Houndstone, so I go for the same tactic of healing on Mimikyu's turn and Rage Fisting with Primeape. The Houndstone gets one shot, her Mimikyu uses Light Screen, which honestly is fine since that's for special moves, and her Toxtricity is out. Obviously that terrestrializes into Ghost type, with a little puppy dancing on the boxes and Rhyme doing her best Undertaker impression. Mimikyu actually listens to me this turn and one-shots Toxtricity with Shadow Sneak, which is kinda anticlimactic, but hey, I'll take it. I'm so sorry! I wasn't really. Rage Fist then breaks her disguise, and I decide to make sure I don't die with another heal on Mimikyu's turn, and Rage Fist killing her Mimikyu. How often can I say Mimikyu in one battle? Either way, badge acquired, still not a high enough level cap for my 60 plus months, but only 2 more badges to go. Well, more encounters. A Meditite gets traded for a Scatterbug, so dupes, retrade, and we get another Eevee. The freaking trade screen is also kind of color glitched in the cave for some reason. We then trade that again, cause dupes, and get a Gulpin. In my attempt to hit enough Rage Fists on Primeape to evolve it into Annihilate, I get it killed by a Shell Gun, cause hell if I know why I stayed out after I took half my health with that first attack. Of course. No! Fuck you! Why do you have a Psychic? I decide to put the level 16 Gulpin on the team for now, cause I can't use a team with half of it not obeying, and we go on to the next gym. And oh surprise, Nemona wants to battle. She leads with Lycanroc, I send out Jolteon and get taken to half by Rock Slide, with Double Kick doing about a third. Primeape sure would have been helpful here. I switch to my Sudowoodo, who still takes a quarter from Rock Slide, but Mudshot does the same back. We flinch from the next Rock Slide, cause of course we do, and Sand Attack keeps on lowering our accuracy. Which is fucking great on a rock type whose attacks already don't hit half of the time anyway. But a few heals, misses, flinches, and Mudshots later, we take it down. Hesligu is next, and I go to Mimikyu. Obviously, it doesn't listen, Water Pulse confuses, cause of course it does, and breaks our disguise. So I heal up all my other mons and have Mimikyu hit itself in confusion, cause of course it would, before one-shotting with Play Rough. Palmad is out, and I switch to Sudowoodo again, doing very little with Rock Slide, while she actually tries Thunder Waving me for way too long before succeeding, but Mudshots and Sucker Punch take it down, even with Spark doing some damage back still. Her Skeledirge is last, and I stay out for obvious type advantage. I full restore to get rid of the para and heal up, and she terrestrializes and starts using Skeledirge's overpowered signature move again. Torch Song takes only a bit, but boosts her special attack, so we terrestrialize 2 and Rock Slide with the extra boost takes over half, but we are almost dead from the second Torch Song already. There is no way I can live 2 more Torch Songs after healing up, and we are by far slower, so I go for Sucker Punch instead, but since it's terrestrialized, it's pure fire, and doesn't take much damage for that, with Torch Song taking out Sudowoodo. I go to Jolteon next, since that's probably fast enough, and Thunderfang only gets it to red with Torch Song one-shotting. Gumshoos gets outsped and one-shot as well. And Swanna finally kills with Water Pulse. I didn't expect it to listen really. With again half our team dead, Gulpin evolves into Swalot, and we add Excalibur to the team for lack of options left. If nothing else, it can at least tank stuff while we heal if it won't listen. We get our encounters in the ocean, which are Shelder that we trade for Teddiursa at level 21 and a Azumarill at level 75 with a Fire Terra type. With that team, we go for the next gym. After playing some weird quick time event game with Dendra first, we beat up the trainers and get to fight Tulip. She leads with Farigiraf, I lead with Mimikyu. Obviously Mimikyu doesn't listen and Reflect gets set up. X-Scissor takes half and Zen Headbutt destroys the disguise. Mimikyu keeps on not obeying until we go to Yellow Health with Reflect wearing off that turn. X-Scissors kills the next one. As Pathray is out and I decide to potion, with her Shadow Ball only doing minuscule damage. After a few of those while not listening, we are low enough to heal again and Shadow Sneak almost one-shots. One more time, we get Disobedience and heal up before Shadow Sneak takes out Espathra. Gardevoir comes next, and with Mimikyu still disobeying, we get to heal once more after Psychic, and we also get our special defense lowered. X-Scissors takes most of her health, and we go back to disobeying until Shadow Sneak finishes her off. Florges is her last mon and terrestrializes. Moonblast is obviously way too strong, but somehow we survived 2 in a row on 5 HP. But that had to be a low roll on the second one, otherwise I would be dead. A bit of heal spamming and disobedience later, I go to Excalibur, who withstands it easier, even with it being super effective, but also doesn't obey. So I go to Azumarill and Terrestrialize to resist Fairy as a fire type, and Terra Blast for a good chunk. But with Azumarill also still being over the level cap, we get more disobedience. Azumarill is kinda tanky though, so we get to try more often before having to heal. Eventually, after way too long, a Playroth goes through and puts her to red. With another eternity of disobedience going by before a second Playroth kills. One last batch to go. Teddiursa also evolves into Ursaring here. Our level cap is still only 55, so whatever we will have to sit there waiting for a longer amount of time than actually necessary. We get one more encounter, another Bergamite, which we trade for a Meditite before taking out Great Tusk pretty easily once Azumarill listens and Hydro Pumps it. Final gym time. The downhill challenge for this is pretty easy. In fact, this did a better job at making a skiing game than Ubi did with their weird Olympic game cash grab DLC for Steep years back. Either way, gym leader time. Grusha leads with Frostmoth, I lead with Azumarill, I terrestrialize immediately to have a fire move, and Azumarill obviously doesn't obey. Blizzard does nothing to us, so I just keep on trying for Terra Blast and one-shot Frostmoth. Bear Tick is next, and Earthquakes while Azumarill doesn't obey again, so we heal until Terra Blast hits, and one-shots again. So Titan comes out, and Ice Shards for nothing, while Azumarill doesn't listen. And then Terra Blast takes over half, twice in a row, thanks for coming. Last is Altaria, who terrestrializes to ice, and Terra Blast takes it to a sliver before Azumarill goes back to not obeying for the last time as the next Terra Blast kills and gets us the final badge. Which means we can finally use our team normally. We get our last encounters of that run, and from that get traded some more hacked trash, before rerolling that to Charmander. That's a weird fish. The final Titan battle goes pretty easily with our now obedient Azumarill, and our last encounter before the final Team Starbase is a Ditto, so dupes. So we retrade and get more hack trash before rerolling that to a Nacli that can sit in the box for eternity for all I care. Final Team Star Bosses time. The first guy starts with Azumarill, I lead with Swanna, I Tailwind for a boost, and Playroth misses, so I Hurricane for almost a one-shot and a confusion. Water Pulse takes the last sliver, and Wigglytuff is next. We eat a Playroth after missing and Water Pulse for half, before killing with another. Darkspun is out, and I switch to Azumarill and Terrestrialize and Terra Blast, but I never knew those things had a fire resistance ability, so I Hydro Pump instead, which leaves him on 1 HP, and Aqua Tail finishes him off. Last is his car, obviously, so with Magical Torque doing next to nothing, we just Terra Blast and watch him struggle to do damage to us at the same time. For some reason this happens. Health bar, what the F moment? Huh? You're dead! Excuse me! You are dead! What the hell are you doing? And we win with Aqua Tail. Finally, we go after Aerie, who leads with Toxicroak, while I send out Swanna. Tailwind boosts us, while she poisons us. And Brave Bird straight up one-shots. Passimian is next, and I go to Mimikyu, Playroth misses, and we get our Disguise broken. Then Playroth one-shots. Annihilate is next, and I terrestrialize to Pure Fairy to not have a ghost weakness, and then take about half with Shadow Sneak. Rage Fist does comparatively low damage, and we live for 2 of them with Playroth killing. Next is Lucario, and I stay out and heal, while Dark Pulse does hardly anything. Playroth then leaves her on the sliver, with X-Scissors killing. Her car is obviously last, and Playroth does over half on the first turn. Spin Out does a good chunk back, and another Playroth leaves it on 1. Shadow Sneak then kills, since it's priority. With all storyline badges completed, we only have the League to worry about now. I somehow remembered after all this time that I started with a duck for the interview. First partner. Frickin' Nemona has the fire type, so we chose the water type. I traded it off, I don't fucking know anymore. And we go take on the Elite Four. Rika is up first and starts with Whiscash. I lead with Swanna. Brave Bird does a good 2/3, and Whiscash only predicts an attack before going down. I switch to Azumarill for Danfan and Hydro Pump for going to 1 cause of sturdy. Aqua Tail kills the next turn. Dark Trio is next, so I just stay out and Hydro Pump while a Sandstorm gets set up. I heal, Earthquake hits twice for a bit, and Hydro Pump kills. Up next is Camerupt, who falls to a single Hydro Pump after yawning, and Clodsire is last. I switch to Mimikyu. as Mazuril is asleep and a terrestrialized Clodsire protects to stall before using Toxic. Which is the wrong way around, you idiot. Learn to Toxic stall, you elite noob. I go to Excalibur as Mimikyu can't do much damage here and one-shot with Icicle Crash. 1 down, 3 to go. Poppy leads with Copperaja, I lead with Swanna again. Water Pulse does good damage and she sets up Stealth Rocks. Another 2 Water Pulses kill. Magnezone is next and I go to Azumarill and Terrestrialize. Fire Terra Blast takes her to a sliver and she light screens. Another Terra Blast kills. She sends out Bronzong next, so I just stay out and Terra Blast for a third. Earthquake does good damage back and I play Wrath once before potioning after the second Earthquake. Her light screen wears off and another Terra Blast kills. Corviknight comes out and Terra Blast takes her to red, with the recall from Brave Bird almost taking her out. Terra Blast then kills, last is Tinkaton and I decide to just stay out and use my last 2 Terra Blasts on her Pure Steel Terrestrial. That takes half, while Stone Edge does good damage back, so I heal up before finishing with another Terra Blast. Halfway done. Larry's back for another round and leads with Tropius, while I lead with Excalibur. Icicle Crash one-shots. Next is a Staraptor, for who I go to Mimikyu and Thunderbolt for half, getting my Quick Claw stolen, and Thunderbolting again for the kill. I go back to Excalibur for Altaria, and one-shot with Icicle Crash. And he sends out Oricorio, who also dies to Icicle Crash. Flamingo is last, and I go back to Mimikyu and Thunderbolt the Terrestrialized Bird twice for half, while Brave Bird takes most of both our remaining health bars. In the end, Playroth takes the rest of his HP, and we can go on to the final member. Hassel, no Hoff, is the final one and leads on Neuvord. Azumarill gets halved by Superfang twice and 2 shots with Playroth. Dragalge is next, and I send out Excalibur, Icicle Crash one-shots. Flapple comes out and Dragon Rushes for a bit once before falling to Icicle Crash. Haxorus is next and gets Dragon Rushed off the field, and his ace is a Excalibur, so I switch to Mimikyu. I heal my Azumarill, he terrestrializes and Icicle Crash breaks the disguise. Playroth takes half, while Icicle Crash does less. Another Playroth kills, off to Lamprimera. Gita leads with Espathra, I lead with Mimikyu. Axis takes most of her health and Lumina Crash breaks the disguise. Another Axis kills. King Gambit is next, so I go to Azumarill for Terrestrial Fire, and that results in a 3-shot with little damage in return. Avalok is her personal coffee table, and I heal while her ice attacks do nothing. Veluza eats a Thunderbolt from Mimikyu twice and dies. And Go-Goat is a job for Excalibur and Icicle Crash that one-shots. For our last one, Glamora, I go back to Azumarill, she terrestrializes, and even with us being Terra-type Fire, she can't kill Azumarill and Hydropamp one-shots. Here is your winner, and the new Paldea Pokemon League champion and winner of this Nuzlocke, me. And with that, we are done with the Wonderlocke. Next in terms of challenges is the Dex completions in Home for all of the games for the shiny gift Pokemon. I will be doing all of those in one video though, even if that's gonna be a pretty long video, because for some of them, the amount of work we're gonna be doing is next to nothing, seeing as I basically already have a full living Dex of like most of like Let's Go, for instance, where we just need a freaking playthrough of Let's Go Eevee to get the remaining exclusives. And like others like BDSP, I hardly have anything transferred, so yeah, we'll see how much time it takes for each of the games, but I'll still put all of that in one video at the end. All of those will of course be streamed live on Twitch, where we still currently are doing the Pokemon Yellow Deadman's Lock every Monday and Wednesday. All VODs of that are obviously available on the VOD channel, just like with this challenge. So make sure to hang out if you wanna see the challenges be done live. See you there, or in the next challenge video, and leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe and activate notifications to never miss an upload, and have a nice day. My name is WW Dadman. Bye.